Yeah, everyone, this is Thermite, and this is Souboutei Must Be Destroyed. Chapters 30, we're starting off in chapter 23. Not gonna promise how far we're going, I'm gonna catch up, but I don't know if I'll do it all in one video. We'll see. I don't want to, rush through Souboutei. But big props to Stake in the Mud. Um, I didn't read Souboutei for a while just because, the chapters weren't coming out very quickly. From what I understand, I think he's been doing it weekly now, consistently weekly. Because we are currently up to 37 as of this recording. Yeah, so we'll see. I could get all the way to 37, but it just depends on the chapters and if I want to take a pause to think about stuff. But enough stalling. Let's do this. So last time, last time was the chapter with Takaha, and him resolving his, not even really resolving his daddy issues, but just he had already let it go in the past. That's why he was able to get out of it much more easily than everyone else. But at the very end of that chapter, we had Kurenai. There was a fire. It seemed like she may have started, either she started a fire that really hurt Rokuro, or she just wasn't there and Rokuro was hurt in the fire. Something like that. But we'll see. Oh, this is really cool. I've seen so many series that do, meditation under a waterfall. But I've rarely ever seen it as a thing that physically hurts your body. It's always either a very calming thing, or it's something where the pressure of the waterfall is strong, but it's the pressure that is, rough. And you have to force yourself to stand up against the pressure. But they usually don't talk about the actual wear and tear it must do on your body. Why was I doing this? Yeah, why? We don't know that much about her training, just that she is really, really talented. This is punishment. Because it was punishment, of course I'd have to suffer. That's why I became a katana shaman. Because on that day, I let that happen to Rokuro. Oh man, that's rough. It does also explain why she was so broken up over Rokuro. I mean, part of it's just, they're siblings. Of course, if something weird happened to your sibling, you would be freaked out. You'd want to go to the city and see what's going on. But on top of that, the idea that she has this obligation, this idea that she hurt him in the past and now she has to protect him, it works so well. Oh my gosh, she's so normal looking. It's so weird. She's such a, I guess, typical shrine maiden in a way, that it's so hard to see her like this and to think oh yeah, I guess she was just a little kid. Or, a normal looking little kid who doesn't look like she's going to grow up to be a shrine maiden. I assumed she would look like Rika from Higurashi as a kid. Could you also iron the laundry for me? Oh boy, okay, so I think that's gonna be it. She has all this other stuff to do, and she left the iron on, and it's gonna set the house on fire. Which is, that's a lot to do, by the way. Yeah, taking care of a kid, tough for an adult, tough for a child. And to also, do other stuff as well. I mean, I'm not saying this is abuse or anything, absolutely not. When I was a kid, I could definitely do, small chores and stuff. That's not a big deal. But it is a lot. If she did set this house on fire, then I don't blame her for it in the slightest. I know I've done much worse as a kid. I've done much worse right now, as an adult. Oh man. Okay, this makes it even worse. The reason she left it there is because of the stress. Let's look in the mirror for a sec, just for a sec. Oh no. This is a surefire way to get me really, really sad. It's the combination of something that is inherently very nice and that there's nothing wrong about. There is nothing wrong with, taking a peek at your outfit, your future gift and trying it on and just having a little innocent fun. And that makes it so much worse. By the time I noticed the smell of burning, the fire had spread from the ironing board to an extent that a first grade child could do nothing to stop it. Jeez. I've never had this level of fire happen. I've set a few fires in my house by complete accidents, and those have been pretty rough. But I've had this happen a lot more with flooding, or I leave a tap on, or a toilet is clogged and I don't realize that it's overflowing until I check the room again. Though very recently I burned a pan. I just stepped away for a bit, the pan was still on, it boiled up all the water and then started burning the underside of the pan. And that was also pretty rough, because you really don't notice the smell. Like, if you are focusing on something else, all of your senses are focused on that thing, whether it's a movie or manga or whatever. It's very easy to not notice the smell of burning. Unless it's like actual black, like fumes in your room. Ah, and again, like I can't even fault this guy because like Rokuro's a tiny child. If your neighbors have a kid, like if you've noticed that they have like, a 6-year-old kid or, she's in first grade, so I assume 6. Like you'd run into the house, see if she's still there, and then pull her out. You probably wouldn't be thinking, oh yeah, they have a baby as well. Especially since both of the parents aren't home, you might just automatically assume, oh, well, one of them probably has the kid. It's fine. God, it's been a long, long time since I've looked at Fujita's art. Like, between the last reaction and this, I have not looked at Souboutei at all. I've like looked at a little bit of the anime art for Katakuri Circus, just because I was interested in it. I'm not gonna read it or watch it. I mean, I might read the manga, but God, his art is so good. I love how expressive everyone is. Like, it's extremely expressive, but when I think of like expressive manga art, I usually think of something like One Piece, where it's very like light cartoony, very stretchy cartoony. Whereas I feel like Fujita's art is like, I mean, it is horror art, obviously, but combining that horror aesthetic with the over the top expressiveness of something like One Piece or like a more gaggish manga, like, it makes you feel the emotions so much more. This is a face that I don't think I've ever physically been able to, like, create, but it's the face in my heart when something really awful happens. Like, when I burnt the pan, this was the face in my heart. And again, like, she has complete tunnel vision. Okay, I really do like these panels, though. Like, yeah. That both her mom and her dad later on did tell her, like, it's not your fault. Even if this happened because of you, like, it's not your fault. Which is completely true. Like I've done much much worse again as an adult and as a kid. I get her guilt though. Like of course, because she did it, she can't forgive herself. But I'm very glad that she doesn't have like parents that don't, that wouldn't forgive her. Like I'm really glad that even though she's undergoing that Shrine Maiden training, for instance, that her mom isn't making her do it as punishments. She's making it do it like she's making herself do it as punishments, but like her mom isn't forcing her to do it. God. I mean, he did survive though, so it's not that bad, right? Like, nothing we've seen so far indicates that he has like severe asthma or like he has crippling burns or anything. So he did come out of this okay. Oh, this is a really interesting shot. Like, it isn't a lot of lesser mangaka. A lot of lesser mangaka would have had this be just, like a still image of Rokuro without any other context, just, like with his back, or even like just a shot of him without his head and just the back. I really love this shot specifically because it looks like Rokuro was either swimming or these look like sweat drops. So maybe it's just, really hot outside. It's a hot summer day. He pulls off his shirt. He's not even thinking about his back, but all Kurenai can see is her back. It's his back. Like, when she thinks of him, she thinks of this completely innocuous moment, but her eyes are focused solely on his back and on how it's her fault. Okay, and then these are the things. I don't think we ever got an explanation for what these are. Yeah, it seems like it's this. Oh boy, this aesthetic is so cool because like it is the same thing of they're worming their way into her through these segments. It's your fault, Kurenai, but hey, Rokuro is still alive. Okay. I assumed this was like Souboutei or like, a manifestation of Souboutei, an illusion, trying to make her feel bad, but this last bit is definitely like it's positive advice. But we do have the the traditional at this point bleeding eyes and then like just all the pieces of whatever this is being vomited out. It's also interesting that you can vomit them all out. Like even the ones that I assume break off like in her arms are being vomited out. Maybe they aren't. Like maybe if you do an X-ray of someone in Souboutei, they do actually have like bits all over them. But I assume this is supposed to be like it's all being expelled. Okay, so this is Souboutei. This is definitely Souboutei. Also, I was gonna say like it's weird that we've never seen these scars, but I guess there's no reason for us to have seen them. I mean, maybe we have, and I completely don't remember. But I don't think we've ever seen him with his shirt off. And like he doesn't have scars anywhere clearly visible when he's wearing a normal outfit. Oh, I just noticed that his head's like twisting around here. Oof. Ugh. Yeah, so it is a very literal, like, one to one. As you feel despair, you split apart. What you gotta do is just forgive yourself. How is Taka here? I mean, like, we just like a chapter or two ago, I guess just one chapter, we saw him break out of his own dream. Did he immediately, like, just run over to her painting? I'm back, baby. Get ready for the return of weekly or faster chapters. Oh boy. Again, it has, I don't know exactly when I last stopped reading, but um this is 24. Stop is at 37. So at the very least, I've got 13 more chapters, which that pans out pretty well with like a chapter every week for the past like 3 months. Man, props to you, Steak. Props. Like, congratulations. You are doing really well. Okay, so he doesn't even know. And I doubt this is definitely not Souboutei trying to, like, play mind games. It seems like he either like forced himself into her dream or maybe just subconsciously did. Like maybe the first thing he thought of when he broke out of his nightmare was, "Where's Kurenai? I need to help her out." They're gonna try to break open your heart and attack by slipping in the cracks. I mean, that's a pretty clear way of saying it. I'm curious to see how she'll take this though, because even if you know what someone's going to do, like that, especially with emotional stuff, like if I'm watching a sad story, I'm less likely to cry specifically because I'm already set up for it. Like I know, okay, people have told me this is sad. My body is prepared. I know sad things are going to happen. Whereas, like, if it's something like, what's a good example? There's actually a lot of My Little Pony episodes, weirdly enough, where like I've been caught off guard and I've just started sobbing because like I didn't expect it. I didn't expect that emotion in this mindsets. So I think like if you are aware that someone's going to try and attack you, it's the same thing with like Gaki no Sky. If you've ever seen them, they do like year end like don't laugh challenges, and Matsumoto does this thing called documental, where he makes a bunch of comedians like fight each other, like fight each other with comedy. Whoever laughs immediately loses. Uh, that kind of thing. Like anything where you are expected to have an emotion is double edged, because part of it is that like you're aware, you know to put your guard up, but at the same time the more you think about not doing something, the more you might end up doing it. Like the reason I brought up all those, you laugh, you lose challenges in real life is because like that also primes you to go like, okay, I should not laugh. So even if you wouldn't have laughed normally, that tension builds up of I shouldn't laugh, I shouldn't laugh. That makes some things way funnier than they should be. In the same way, with something like this, if you know for a fact you should not be scared, even if you are like going into a horror movie, it's very possible to be super freaked out, in part because you've built up this wall and then something slips by and strikes you somewhere where you didn't expect it at all. So I don't think this is really an advantage. It's an advantage to have Taka by her side, but I don't think it's a immediate she wins advantage. It might just make her feel even more guilty, honestly. Oh, is this supposed to be the shot that we saw before, where like he's kind of sweaty, but she saw the scar on his back? It's not the exact same though. Like it seems like that might have just been like a generic moment instead of this specifically. It's because you feel guilty. That's why you're so nice and overbearing. And again, this weird twist. It's like rotation almost. Usually I'd just chalk it up to like, it's Souboutei, it's a scary tactic, but we've seen this specific twist repeatedly. Like I do mean that like the literal twisting here, like almost a helix, not like, a shock or not the other term for twists. So is this like one specific monster or something? Ah, this is a strong attack. Also, in general, it's just terrifying. Like I really like this continuity of his hair turning into this gunky, drippy mess that then like takes up the entire top of the screen. If I'm separated from Okuro, then I can't keep apologizing. But then again, like I don't think that's incorrect. Like you can have that guilt, but that guilt doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean that everything you're doing is insincere. If anything, it just adds to the sincerity of it. But especially for someone like her, someone who is very straightforward, who has very clear morals, I get it. I get why this destroys her inside so much. I also really appreciate that whenever Taka says this, like, he's not just saying, you're a good person. He's acknowledging her faults and then, like, giving her constructive criticism. Like, he is sharing genuine, like, life advice with her. And hey, humans are really, really weak creatures. We can't help it having those feelings. Oh, man. Also, I do appreciate how, like, even though she is literally nude and covered with, black gunk, this doesn't feel fan servicey at all. Like, it came to mind specifically because of how pure this looks and how, like, pure, how pure this entire panel is. It's such clear, like, just, they're just two human beings. That's something that I rarely ever see in manga. Like, I'm so used to, like, even if it's supposed to be scary or traumatic or, like, weird, like, a lot of the times, mangaka just cannot help themselves from sexualizing, especially female characters. Like, it comes up a lot because I'm not attracted to women. So it always, like, sticks out to me as, like, this is odd. Like, sometimes I just don't notice it at all, but when I do notice it, it always weirds me out. Anyways, I'm bringing that up just because, like, I love how clear and I guess, like, how clear the emotions in Souboutei are conveyed. Like, there's no muddling the water here. Everything is so extremely expressive. Everything gives off the exact emotion that it should. I'm never stuck thinking like, "Oh, this is a weirdly creepy scene when it shouldn't be," or "This is a weirdly comedic scene." Like, this is a little funny in terms of, like Taka's expression, for instance, but, like, it's just enough. It's enough to fit his character. Yeah, did Rokuro ever say that? Have you ever asked him directly? Also, all the gunk disappeared. Interesting. Like, I'm assuming that that means that, like, the Rokuro monster, the fake Rokuro just dissolved. But yeah, this is a big trap that I've seen a lot of people fall into in real life of, I'm not gonna talk to someone because it's obvious what they're feeling, like, it's so completely obvious that I shouldn't have to ask, when you should. Like, every single time you think, "Oh, I don't need to ask, this is too obvious," you need to ask. It is not obvious. That is one of the biggest pieces of life advice that I've ever gotten in my entire life. Yeah, what do you want to do with Rokuro from now on? I mean, this still is not like it's not a clean wrap up, which makes sense because we've got a lot of story left to go. But yeah, I think the best like midpoint she can reach right here is like she wants to have a happy ending with Rokuro, but for now they're both like they both hate Souboutei. They're both gonna have to see this out through to the end. Like she can't take this entire burden upon herself. Accept that it's a part of you and then forgive yourself. Say it loud. Oh, come on. Come on, Kurenai, I'm rooting for you. Okay, before Rokuro gets here, I'll destroy Souboutei. I think that's fair. Like, I don't think that's valid. I do think he's going to show up. Like, he's going to be involved. He's already involved. But this is a good motivation for her right now. Try to be more than I am, acting like I'm your mom. So scared you'd hate me. I was a coward. Next time I'll talk to you. Okay. So that's so weird, though. They came out, and then they were both on fire, but it wasn't like they were in the burning building or anything. They were just immediately on fire when they jumped out. Also, again, Kurenai has her skirt burnt off, but this is not like maybe it's a little bit fan servicey. I don't know. This is a situation where I definitely should not try to say what is and isn't sexual, but it doesn't feel fan servicey to me. Like this does feel very like she has a shortened skirt, but it's very pure. So it seems like, the others that were destroyed are finally coming back out. Or not destroyed, but, they were taken by Souboutei. Oh boy. So we've got the scientist. We have someone else, maybe his assistants, perhaps? Then some of the normal soldiers, and then one of the sisters. Not all three of them, weirdly enough. Yeah, because they all had the turban, so it's not like these two could be them. The lightning is definitely Scientist Man. I guess one of these could be the girl, actually. Like, it could be the two of them using it together. Okay. Hmm. Those things inside the painting that attacked me, it didn't feel like a malevolent spirit or anything. That's really interesting because, like, they were quite literally trying to get into her. Like, that is prime what I think of when I think of a malevolent spirits. Okay, so I guess this is meant to be a bit fan servicey, but still, like, it's fine. It's fine. I do like that she's not embarrassed by it at the very least. Like, if Taka is embarrassed, that's fine. Like, that makes it funny. Yeah, you have to be extra careful with your exposed legs. Like, I do get her thing of, she doesn't want to restrict her movement, but even then, like, restricting this part of her body, like, that's not a lot. Like, her legs can still move quite a bit, especially if she just has his jacket, like, loosely tied around her waist. Hmm. Okay. I mean, the others aren't around, though. I feel like they have to dip out. Like, I don't think they can stay in Souboutei for much longer. Like, not just because the rest, but I guess it doesn't matter. Because if they do dip out and then come back in, like, all the others that have been turned are still in there. Like, they're still dangerous. And it doesn't seem like getting more people to come in is going to help at all. People are meeting with same APs or concerns. Their influence is great enough to suppress both parties of the cabinet before anything can happen. So they're reaching for some, like, deep, dark, like, shadow government stuff. This is so weirdly cute. I love it. Yeah, they just want to go to Souboutei. So what could they need? Because, like, clearly, like, the prime minister and the secretary, like, they're both very into destroying Souboutei. They want Souboutei to be destroyed. So whatever this is, it has to be vitally important. I feel like it's got to be some sort of, like, shadow government thing, either a literal shadow government, like maybe people who work for the government who understand magic, or it could be like the Yakuza actually, like just evil shrine maidens or something. Because I could see that working. Like, the people we saw go into Souboutei are all kind of charlatans. Like, they have some abilities, but for the most part, they're kind of crackpots. And then there are, like, more powerful supernatural beings that, or supernatural people who can be tapped here, who might be able to do a better job. Because, like, Souboutei is definitely, it feels like a threat that can't be taken out by the main cast. Like, there's no power of friendship here. Like, there is, the strength of their will, but even then, I feel like Takaha is going to die if he doesn't have help. Like, they need more people. At the very least, they need more people because people are going to definitely die in Souboutei, so they need to fill up the cast a bit more. Okay, they keep on saying that room. Like, is this inherently a magical room? Or are they just talking about, like, they call, this chapter's called the melting room. So, like, is that metaphorical or is that literal? In the rear of the diet building, there are windows lined up horizontally. On one of the walls, these windows number 9 across. In those days, it was referred to as the melting room. Okay. This door has been hiding something related to Souboutei for a really long time, so it's not just magic in general, it's specifically Souboutei. Oh boy. This is so interesting, because, like, it was passed down by prime ministers. Like, it's not just because these two, stumbled into Souboutei when they were kids. And then, they worked their way up here. Like, even if they hadn't seen Souboutei before, just by virtue of being the prime minister and being, an important person, or at least, I guess, just the prime minister would have known about this room. Okay. Huh. It looks like it's a literal melting room, though. Like, literally, you melt into blood. Or I guess not, actually. Like, there's no flesh or anything. It's just, like, splatters. It's just, like, as if people had been thrown to the walls. Brown stains. Well, to be fair, blood can dry brown. I've seen that before. So, like, there was something so scary that was unbearable, and they couldn't stand to look at it. Oh, boy. So, it's a painting from Souboutei, but why is it here? How is it here? How is that possible? Oh boy, I thought Steak in the Mud was completely just Mr. Steak. It's actually becoming a bit of a group. Like, at the very least, I'm glad you have a dedicated QC and a dedicated typesetter. Okay. Chapter 26, Changing Room. So, is this literal or metaphorical? Like, is he entering the painting? Yeah, it looks like it. It looks like that is literal. Like, he really is entering the painting. Uh, hmm. I wonder if this is how they'll get into Souboutei, actually. Yeah, so it's not a haunting, it's not a poltergeist situation, but it seems very poltergeisty. But what else could it be? It might just be, something else supernatural, like something they can't, like, put into a box. But what if it isn't supernatural at all? Like, it could be aliens, maybe. Uh, the the direction of it is very supernatural, though. I highly doubt it's a Scooby-Doo situation. It's definitely not. It could be super science, maybe. Who knows? I guess there's no real reason to speculate it, actually. Like, it's it could be anything, but I do think it is fundamentally supernatural. Maybe it's not in a spiritual way, but it is obviously supernatural. I don't know why I bothered saying that. Like, whether it's sci-fi supernatural or like alien supernatural, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it is something else. Like, it's not that Souboutei is making other people feel its own pain. It's that it's making people feel their own, like, sorry, the way I phrased that was really weird. Like, it's not that Souboutei's pain is being transmitted to other people. It's that Souboutei is like testing everyone. It's showing them their own pain. Also, I'm curious to see actually what'll happen with the painting over here. Because that's not a painting of Seiichi, it's a painting of that old prime minister who is dead anyways. So, like, would it show Seiichi's horror or fears, or would it actually still be showing the prime minister's? But okay, we've got that miscommunication, that good old miscommunication. Yeah, if it's not spirits, and we have no idea what's causing this. Like, I do think it is spiritual, but it's not a spirit. It's like the way it feels like some sort of eldritch horror. Like it's just a weird thing that should not be. Especially because it seems like her abilities don't really work at all. Like she can, she can attack things, like sure, but I mean, anything can be an attack. It seems like, like just as Takaha does not have any spiritual abilities, but he was able to get out of his painting. It seems like, the reason why using her sword worked inside of her painting was because, she believed in it, because that's a core of who she is. Like it was her getting over her fear, or getting over her own guilt. Okay, what is he thinking? I do appreciate, by the way, that he's not an everyman. Like, Taka is the most normal person here, but he's not the everyman. Like, he does have very distinct personality. He knows things that the average person wouldn't know, especially when it comes to arts. So, I am curious to hear what he thinks of this. The arms are melting. The arms are melting. Okay, so all you have to do is, you just have to resist for, like, a second or two. They're weak to air. Specifically nitrogen. Hmm. That's interesting. Like, we're breaking it down to the specific element that they're weak against, which means that there is a potential, like, scientific answer to this. This hand and this body, everything I brought back from that far, far away place is to destroy them. Ah. Okay, so is he like sticking it into the world of the painting? Like, if he does this, will he destroy all the paintings? Something is using Souboutei to transform into a human shape. I can't help but think it's like a changing room. I mean, that is actually a very real possibility. Not that, it's not that Souboutei is evil. It's that Souboutei is Souboutei, and something else is misusing it. Like, it could be just a neutral, eldritch, weird thing in this world. But okay, he broke out. It doesn't look like he's possessed. Yeah, so they have a legit anti-Souboutei weapon. At least anti this part of Souboutei. This is not a painting. I mean, he did just say the ones in the door. So, is it just like a portal to another dimension, perhaps? It is a passage, is what you were going to say, yes? Okay. I assume these are all, the previous ministers. Also, they won't remember our names anyways, so don't worry about introductions. Just our numbers will do. Just our numbers. Uh, was it 91 that was killed? Like, I assume these are all the ministers then. 83rd and 82nd. Like they could just be talking about their terms. But can a prime minister serve for 3 years, or like 3 terms? Like in Japan, I guess. I don't know anything about Japanese politics. I don't know if that's true. Yes, they are. They're all ministers. This is pretty wild. Like it is really cool to see, like all these old people just be subservient to like, especially Rokuro. Like I don't think Seiichi really gets it as much as Rokuro, but Rokuro like completely understands how crazy this is. Also, I do like that we are getting their names. Like, I'm not going to remember them, sure. I probably won't even remember their numbers, but I really like that they are like giving us that information just in case you want it. We beg of you, Takaha Seiichi, We ex-prime ministers have all experienced the terror of those paintings sent from Souboutei. Also, sent from Souboutei. Why sent from Souboutei? Like, were they mailed them? Hmm. We are cowards. We are so afraid of fighting Souboutei. Before Shiba took office, we postponed the issue. Please, we beg you, tell us. It must be that it's sending the paintings to them. But for what purpose then? And also, is it Souboutei sending the paintings, or is it someone else just using Souboutei? Okay, you were carried by black arms. Okay, we're talking about the painter again. Oh, I love this. Like, I when it comes to mystery series, my favorite mystery series are series like this, where like you do get recaps, you do like solve mysteries as new ones come in, because it gives you the sense of constant progression, of constantly like, yes, something is happening. I really don't like series that build up a lot of stuff and then like leave it into all until the very ends, or where most of the big mysteries like are like series long mysteries. It's okay, and I do think like a series long mystery is fine, sure. But if you have a ton of them, that's when it gets too heavy. I'm really glad that Souboutei is like answering things as much as it is like introducing new problems or new questions. Hmm. Okay. When I said I had to go to you, you asked me, is your destination inside Souboutei? That also means that theoretically he can't go in and like try to save anyone else. It was a one-time thing, it seems. Oh, our squadron included 5 women. It isn't the Kirita sisters. It's the foreigner girl. Okay, so this is the girl that was with the scientist guy. Can he? Can he use the black arms? Okay. I really did think it was a one-time thing. But no, I guess Taka just has that ability, which makes sense. It like to do things in Souboutei, to continuously make progress, it makes sense that they would have to have something more, and especially Taka would have to have, at least a little bonus, a little, new thing. I guess if it only allows you to move from person to person, that also like it isn't broken. It isn't ridiculously powerful. It's just good enough to save other people, which makes sense. Like that is a thing that fits him very well. Oh, stakes back to QC. I guess that didn't last long. Or maybe he just wanted to get this chapter out specifically really quickly. Floor the Porter. Huh. I assume they're referring to these arms then. Oh my gosh. This is a really cool visual. Also, I didn't really consider that, yeah, like these aren't the hands from the painting. These are just like separate hands. Like, yeah, the fact that they're black makes so much more sense now. And you can cut them, and they can't last too long outside of the painting, too. Ah, that said, like, I kept on assuming that at some point they would get out of Souboutei and be able to regroup, but maybe that's not the case. Maybe they'll stay in there for the rest of the series. And it's just, Seiichi and Rokuro who will be able to get in. Oh, that's right. She doesn't know English. Or I guess we didn't know if she knew English or Japanese or not. But that definitely changes things. Like, if they could find someone else, it seems, I assume everyone else has been taken over, though. So they won't be able to find an interpreter. Oh, how did she get away from the arms the first time? I mean, like, it's not like it's not like their technology doesn't work. Like, it certainly does. So maybe she had something that protected her. Oh, that's a good way of putting it, too. Or, like, that's a good way of restricting the amount of information they have. That she was able to get, enough information, sure. Like, she got her name, she got some info, but the details are too technical. I am being studied for my reports. Also, she is Floor. So okay, Floor the Porter. I assume then she maybe has like psychic powers or something? Okay. So it's not that she teleports or that it's that she can make things appear. Oh, that's an interesting ability. Like, especially in Souboutei, like somewhere where they can't get more stuff. Like, I assume they have like a good stock of, food and water, so having her on their side means that they don't have to worry about that. Like they can potentially camp out in Souboutei. Yeah, they both have some great strengths. I'm really glad that it's not that one member of this party is way stronger than the rest. But yeah, if Souboutei converts them, that's a bad time. Like, just by defeating all of them, they'll get back to zero. They'll get back to, the base level of how scary Souboutei is. Not to mention, if more specialists happen to walk in, or, if they've been captured in the past, that's so much more worse. Oh boy. Like, this is an uphill battle for sure. And from that spot, slowly bursted. Or I would have written this as slowly bursts, but that's fine. That's okay. That is pretty terrifying. Also, interestingly enough, these, like, we saw them before as tentacles, but it just struck me that, yeah, like, they're not the same things as the leeches or, the flat paper things that keep on going into people. Like, they are distinctly different. So, I assume these are not related to the painting creatures. There's something else going on. Like, it feels like they are definitely different species. Also, slowly bursts. Like, not just an explosion, but a slow burst. Ugh, that's extremely gross. Hmm. Begin construction of a waterway from Souboutei in the city of Tokyo to. Huh. Oh boy. This is so good. Like, it really does feel like a terrifying urban legend. Oh gosh. And that's a completely different method of death. Also, he left behind the same notes, implying, I assume, that, like, it is someone from Souboutei. Like, he didn't. Yeah, all it says here is that, that fingerprint has been confirmed as Prime Minister's. It doesn't mean that he wrote this. It most likely was something from Souboutei then that is writing this out, that is trying to keep people safe. At that point, all the Prime Ministers who died melted relatively near to their paintings. Right? Huh. What does that mean, though? The time until they melted was getting longer. Ugh. We watched our own friend shed her own skin to reveal a copy of herself. So this is what we thought at the time. Okay. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Is it as simple as that? Like, I kept on thinking about the paintings as being like level 1. Like, there's so much more to Souboutei, but this is just level 1. But it seems like that might be like the core conceit of Souboutei then. Like, both the series and the building itself. Oh, that's what it means. Okay, so it's not just that they're being cursed, it's that they are being fully taken over, and then they only have like a short amount of time before like they completely dissolve. So in each of those times, like I guess it is like, it is the body of the minister who does actually write that all out each time. Huh. But for what purpose? Like if it's a waterway, the only thing I can think of is that Sobute wants to taint the water and thus like taint the ocean. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh my god. Like I thought these were really good shots on their own, but this is absolutely terrifying. Like that's the end of Japan. It could be the end of the world. That's their goal, why they came here. Hmm. So it does definitely feel like they are like they're dimensional beings, or they're beings from another dimension. And that also explains the paintings. It explains why, normal spiritual stuff doesn't work in Souboutei. It is not a psychic phenomenon. Okay, let us know. Please, please, please. Oh, I really do love this. Because, like, it makes so much sense that this has been plaguing the prime ministers. Up until this point, none of them had, they'd all been pushing it under the rug. They've been trying to save themselves, but, they've never given it any real, legitimate push until Shiva and Kiryu. Until they decided. So, Sabote must be destroyed. Okay, please, 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 let us know. Okay, yeah, we did see that before. I saw stars. I mean, I said before dimensional, but these could be aliens. Like, they could be portals just to, like, another planet or something. Everyone screamed, this is clearly not Earth. Like, it doesn't look like it at the very least. It doesn't look like the traditional, view of the Earth. Like, it's either rocky or, like, full of waves. I think they're all waves. It's hard to tell with like this art style, but at the same time, I think it is meant to be ambiguous. I don't think you're supposed to be able to understand what's going on, apart from just it's not Earth. Okay. And as like a scientific, as someone who scientifically researches psychic phenomena, he is completely certain that yes, this is not psychic phenomena. I do really like that though. I really like that, he's clearly like he understands that there are supernatural phenomena, and now that he knows that they're not psychic, he still accepts that yeah, they are supernatural for sure. They're just not the kind of thing he knows about, and that terrifies him. Also, I forgot about him. So I assume he was the other one using a reverser. I didn't come here to observe a new species. So it seems like they at the very least, or he at the very least, thinks it is like something biological. Like they don't look like zombies or anything. Like they don't look like they've been taken over. It is not possession. It is not possession so much as metamorphosis. So the terminology here is very biological in nature. It does seem like they are aliens, perhaps. Okay, chapter 31, Reverser versus Reverser. But wait a minute, but we saw him before. Like we saw two people with reversers actually. I guess we never saw him specifically. Hey, and Yadayuki's still alive. Okay, okay. There's definitely more people safe than I thought. Okay, I didn't look at my painting for long. Oh, that's really clever. Like, without thinking about it, she just happens to look away immediately because Morita was being taken in, and we know Morita didn't survive. Okay. Yeah, my shots are definitely connecting, but it's not hurting him. Do they have some sort of like lightning protection or something? Oh, never mind. So that's Souboutei. We are evolving. God, this imagery is so like I haven't read a lot of like pure horror manga, so the closest thing I can think of is honestly Junji Ito, but it isn't Junji Ito esque. Like Junji Ito focuses a lot more on like super grotesque detail. Like he just packs in the detail. Whereas I think Fujita, like, it's not that he doesn't do detailed art. It's just that he's more conservative with it, and he really seems to like contrasting detail with pure whites, or like very simple line work with very complex line work on the same thing at the exact same time. It's a really good aesthetic. Okay, come on, Takaha. Oh, all right, the cavalry's here. Ah, this is so satisfying. It's not because I like like the fighting at all. I think it's specifically because Souboutei is such a big horror series. Like because it's all about, the fear of something that you can't physically fight. Like the fact that we are getting physical fights now is actually very nice because it's something you can understand. It is inherently less scary. Like in the same way that basically any horror that involves like fighting a monster that doesn't just shrug off the fight the damage. Like anything that you can hit and actually physically hurt and like make stumble, like that's inherently less scary because you feel like there's a way to fight back. It's not a pure like impossible to defeat thing. It's something that you have a chance against. I think like it really does work. Like it helps a horror series to introduce a bit of that, to introduce something where like there is hope, there is a way to fight against this thing. Because like first of all, you can subvert it, you can still be overpowered, but it gives you that hope. Like it changes the vibe of the series. It makes things a little less hopeless, while at the same time it sets you up for a big fall in the future. Also, last chapter was reverser versus reverser. Now it's arm versus arm. Okay, they've got a plan. But I mean, part of it's like not only do they have more reverses than he does, but also like they can bend around. It's going to be hard to like if they just do a 4 point thing, it'd be even harder for him to properly like point at each of the reversers and like stop them. All right, all right. Okay, do something about Kirk. Just shoot him, I guess. Oh, did she? I guess a port must take a lot of energy, actually. But all right, so can't be her. It's got to be him. Scientific theory operates on the reproducibility of results. When will you accept that bullets don't work on me? Hmm. Oh. Okay. So he's not using them in the sense that he's making them attack. It's more just he's going to use the black arms to immediately teleport there, maybe just like to take him off guard. Also, he is censoring the view. He's making sure there's no panty shot there. Or there's no panty shot from his perspective. Man, what is this pose? Not in a bad way. It's so weird, but it's so good. Ah, okay, that makes sense. Like, just in case Augusto were to quickly switch over and use the reverser, he'd want to have one reverser still, still by his side. Fair enough. This is such a good mix of, like, competence and goofiness. Like, the Black Hands are really a great fit for Takaha because he's not, like, they help him get out of danger and they look cool without being a part of him. Like, if he had a sword or a gun or something, I feel like that would be so out of character. It wouldn't make sense. It doesn't feel good. But because they're something that are like fundamentally not part of him, they are an external force. They're a gift that he can use to pull himself and other people out of danger. Because of that, that works so well for him. Like, it fits so well. It's so natural. And now it's 3-on-1, and Augusto's got two reversers, so he can easily cancel them out. Ah, there we are. There we are. And it does seem, at the very least, like the reversers are effective against like these creatures, against people that have like been metamorphosed. One with the ability to extend arms from a planar surface, drag people inside, and change into those people. This is great. Like, I do really appreciate that they're getting characterization without us having to care about them. This is something I had like a big argument with my boyfriend over. The idea that like he doesn't like it when this kind of thing happens because it's like, oh well, I don't care about this person, and I don't want the series to try and make me care about them. But I don't see this as the series trying to make me care about them. I see this as the series showing that this character cares about this character, and I think that's completely fine. I think that like a series should like show that the characters have relationships, especially like minor characters. They should be able to show that there are connections there that we as the audience don't fully empathize with. We don't fully empathize with them. We don't fully get them, but those are part of those characters. It doesn't matter if we can fully empathize with them. We just need to understand that they have emotions, they have connections. Like I suppose there is some benefit to saying that if a series repeatedly does that and you as a person don't get attached to anyone, then that's not good. Sure. But I don't think there's anything wrong with a series that wants to show off that characters in that universe do feel feelings towards other characters even if even if you yourself don't have those feelings. This is an argument that only I am trying to argue. Yeah, usually when a kid talks about going to another world, they'd say, "What a strong imagination" or something. But these guys all fully understand. Like, they're not laughing, they're not doubting him, they're taking this as gospel. I mean, the big question then is like, is this another planet in this galaxy or like, this universe? Or is it actually another universe? Like, could it be that this is like alternate Earth from another universe? Like, there's not a whole lot of functional difference there, but like, there are details that could come into play in the future. Especially because like the plane just kind of appeared in that world and then appeared again in our world. Kind of. Like because of that, it makes me think that maybe it's an alternate Earth or just another planet in the same area as Earth. Because like just mentally I can see that work, like I can envision that a lot better than like some sort of wormhole that they accidentally flew into. Okay, so the ocean is supposed to be white. That definitely makes it feel more alien. Okay. Inside my body and outside, the water was gently caressing me. Okay, is that Souboutei? It definitely looks like a building. How in the world could your house appear on a distant planet? So it seems like it's reacting to their minds, which makes sense. Like that's the same logic that the paintings work under. Like up until now, I've assumed at the very least, I personally have assumed that it's a mental thing that they go into the painting and then their minds are like made manifest. And technically, that's not wrong here. Like it's instead, it would just be like they're teleported to another world and then their minds are made manifest. Like it's the same concept. It's just a more sci-fi than fantasy, or like more sci-fi than psychological. Yeah, it was the same for everybody. Also, this shot is so interesting. I've never seen this image in another series. Like water, I I can't look at this water and think of it as white water. It just looks blue to me, like in my mind's eye. But this image of just everyone's houses, these like just float, not even floating, just like on islands. It's so weird. It's so bizarre. It's not scary, but it's so unnatural. That water looked like normal water, but it wasn't. It slowly took shape. It turned into him. Him. Even the chapter is called Him. I rode plane with my family to Hokkaido. I also do appreciate that we're not getting all of his monologuing. Just because, like, he's not a good orator. I'd rather just, see it. Oh, okay. So he's not even trying, like, he's not trying to outright deceive them. Like, he clearly did. This is deception. But he is just saying, like, hey, I'm not really your grandpa. It's just, I wanted to calm you down. Okay. This liquid that you call a sea is my body, a gathering of all my brethren. That's really interesting. So, I guess all of them, like all the monsters that we've seen, have been this ocean, like, possessing people, or this ocean trying to, like, scan people and then recreate them, perhaps? Or your vocabulary, you are bizarre and an exciting subject for me. The operation of your thoughts absolutely baffles me. What could it be? Just now, your thing that you call a mood changed color. Okay, so he doesn't understand emotion. But then why is it all negative then? Like, why is it trying to scare and hurt people then? I am being invaded. Okay. So maybe the water is a refugee, or maybe, like, it does seem like there's definitely a third party. Like, the enemy here is not this water particularly, but it's whatever is attacking us. Oh, and those are the hands. They dispatch these to my plane and invade my ocean body. Then the vessels absorb my brother until they are full and then leave like so. It seems I, who expected to live for eternity, have a lifespan just like you. Okay. Oh, so it saved them. Yeah, your body's getting sucked away against your will. Doesn't that make you upset? Hmm. Okay. After that, his counterattack began. Oh, I love this though. This reminds me so much of, not in terms of content, but in terms of writing. It reminds me a lot of Attack on Titan. Like, in the sense that it starts off as one very clear, very easy to understand narrative. Souboutei must be destroyed. Giant, sexless titans attacking a city full of humans, and like a walled city. Not even like, you can just boil it down to giant titans attacking a walled city. Like, it starts off as something incredibly simple, and then as we expand the world, as we expand the storyline, we see that no, like, it still makes sense under that narrative, but that isn't that is not what the series actually is, quote unquote. That is not the purpose of it. What we saw, what the narrative that we have been laboring under, has all been a small fragment from a very skewed point of view. And what is really happening is significantly different, like much bigger and much more, like, it is almost a different genre. I think that's actually what makes me really want to make that connection. The fact that this is very, very sci-fi, as opposed to being like a weird, like, small haunted house horror story. I think that's really cool. It actually reminds me a lot of Ring, like the original book for Ring, like, and how each of the progressive sequels, starting with Spiral, I haven't read any of the others, but from what I understand, it does consistently do the same thing of, the previous story makes sense, it's still canon, but it's also like it's a small part of something much bigger, and something that is much more different, that is harder to understand. Like, I'm a sucker for that kind of thing, so I'm really happy that Souboutei is doing that. I'm also very happy just because I think that Souboutei can do it correctly, which is very difficult to do. Right, you accept the solid living space, but you want to nestle close together. Okay, that's cool. Like, just squishing them all together. Huh. Your quivering emotions are for me a huge stimulus with enormous potential. Like, is it as simple as, it really depends, because it's clearly the invaders that are, reaching through the paintings, quote unquote. And I assume it's also the invaders who want to, like, yeah, because it can't be the water actually. If it was the water, then anyone like they would just dissolve into pure water. We have seen them dissolve, but even then, it didn't look like they were turning into water. It seemed more like they were just like these weird alien things that were dissolving. This does actually explain the waterway thing, though. Like, if it is the water, maybe it just wants to pour itself out into the ocean, into our ocean, and then like live amongst humans. Yeah, this is really cool though. Like, it is this tiny recreated paradise. Does make sense though. Like, I do appreciate that he's this big important thing, and he does understand. Like, yeah, this does feel weird. This does feel like suspicious. I get that. Even if he doesn't fully understand emotions, he understands. Like, he does understand emotions to an extent. Like, he understands enough to get where they're coming from. In that time, we've never before experienced a reaction that you, Seiichi, drew out for us. So specifically, it's Seiichi, actually. Giggle, giggle. Good person, good person. I mulled over those words within my body 200 billion times every second. Ah, so he does feel emotion. Like, that did make him feel. So I guess that really is it. It's just like, it could not take these people back home, so it just wanted to provide a paradise for a while. Don't want to say it, then don't say it. Why can't you fight those things? That is a good question, actually. Hey, hey, Steak. This is a fantastic page. I 100% agree. Like, I really, I don't know if I've ever said this in a reaction or not. I did talk to Steak specifically about this, like, about the idea of doing Souboutei not with Helvetica scans, but just by himself, because, like, as much as it would be nice to have a super duper high quality release, like, Souboutei is a good series. Souboutei hopefully will be picked up. In which case, like, I think it's honestly better to have a rough, not the highest quality release for it. Or how do I put this? Sorry, that came out wrong. I think that it's good to have like not so high quality scanlations because this is good enough to read. Like, I'm enjoying this a lot. The art is fine. The translation is fine. I haven't seen anything that rubbed me the wrong way. A couple spelling errors, but whatever. I think it actually just incentivizes you to pick up the actual release. Like, once I get caught up, once I am reading Souboutei weekly, and once like Souboutei completely finishes, and I've read all of it, if it gets an official release, I'm extremely likely to buy it because I want to see that quality art. I want to see that quality translation. Like, I want to see if there are little things that the scanner group here did not actually manage to capture. So I think this is honestly great. The more that legal manga gets like picked up in the West, the more I think that scanlation should like become less of a, even though I do like appreciate high quality scanlations. I think those are amazing. I kind of do a bit of work for another scan group myself. Even despite all of that, I do think there's some validity. There's, how do I put this? I think support the official release is a term that works just as well. Like, if you are creating something where it's like, yeah, like this is not as good as the official release will be, so you better check out the official release. I don't think that means that you should just put out a garbage release, but I think this is more than fine. This is enough to read Souboutei. And that's all I want to do. I just want to read it. I don't need something that is so good that when the official release comes out, I'll think, this isn't that great. I'd rather read the scanlations. Chapter 36, The Shape of Rage. So maybe the water will die. Like, we still don't know how his shapeshifting works. If the water in his body has been replaced by this water, maybe that's what's causing him to to be able to like shapeshift his body. Maybe. Oh, that is heartbreaking. Like, it's especially because the ocean is saying specifically, hey, I am not your daughter, you should leave me behind, you are more important. And she's completely crying out that, yeah, like, she knows that, but it's fine because she, like, it was the correct thing to do. It gave her something to it gave her solace. Even if this is not her real daughter, she was still able to make peace with herself. And even there, even though he was a holdout until the very end, at that final moment, like, he had to break, he did actually accept her on some level. Or even if he didn't accept her, it might just be as simple as when it looked like his daughter was dying, he couldn't stop himself from reaching out to try and save her. Oh, wow. That's really good. Yeah, you wish to see your true family, but yeah, even then, even if he ended up in Japan, he would not have been able to see his true family. Like, nothing would have been able to satisfy him. Ah, I love this. Again, like this is going back to my previous conversation. I I care so much for all these people. I don't care that much about the individual names they're screaming, sure, but I care about them because I can see these connections and how they are, they're a very short version of real world experiences that I have felt or real like human interactions that I have observed and that I can then like put on this art or rather that this art can remind me of. Oh wow. Oh wow. You always drank the tea I made you. That was enough. God damn. He was going to kill himself, and that was enough not, not to keep him happy, but at the very least to just, to keep him from the edge. He was satisfied enough, even if he knew it was a lie. Oh, it never like it didn't even understand the concept of fighting. We do not know how to get mad. Okay, okay. So that's why. I'll show them that we won't just lay down and die. I'll scream it loud how much I hate you all. I'll destroy you. And that's why he uses the spiral because these things are like rocks. It's the shape of smashing things. It's a shape of rage. All right, chapter 37, The Shape of Rebellion. I believe this is the last chapter that is currently translated right now as I'm recording this. I did not think I was going to read this far ahead, but oh boy. I mean, it's hard to stop. It really is. Souboutei is so perfectly paced. Teach me how to fight the invaders. Teach me the emotion I need to fight. Teach me rage. I wonder if this is an actual series or something. Because like these are super over the top. I have to assume that it does replace all the water in his body then. Because before, like, whenever we see him fight, it is always with his arms. Like they are deformed into the spirals. Oh, this is so cool. And when he destroys it, the water does come out. Like it's not like it's being teleported or anything. So there is a real possibility there. Like they can fight back. Seriously, this is not like the kind of visual or the kind of action I expected from Souboutei, but I'm extremely happy that it's here. It's so good. Oh my gosh, and everyone's helping as well. There's so much hope here. And yeah, like even those who don't like they went with spirals just because that's what, Seiichi did. But everyone else is coming up with, at least something from their minds, something they can use to help, whether it's a knife or a plane or whatever. But then how does this go wrong? There's definitely a bad end here. Like it's a bad end that leaves one person alive. Everyone with different shapes of rage made out of his water body. The fight with the invaders took 45 years. So it wasn't even a thing like, he was in stasis or something. He was constantly fighting. But then why didn't he change age then? Like, were they all ageless? God, this is so like the way they said that is so bonkers. You mean to say you all spent 45 years fighting a war on an alien planet? That is 100% not what I expected from Souboutei. But yeah, like it is. I do appreciate this too. That everyone wants to believe him. It's so hard to believe. It's so difficult to absorb this information. It's so at odds with what they thought they were getting into. Hmm. Okay, that is definitely better to see than hear. Okay, the connection between those things and Souboutei. Now look. Okay, so like he's splashing the water onto them so that they can share his memories, perhaps. Like I assume, yeah, this has to be absolutely the water, whether it's just the last remnants of the ocean or whether it's just part of him that was sent here for some reason. That first night, the mystery of Souboutei were all connected. Okay. God, what a place to end it. What a cliffhanger. Or not even a cliffhanger, but just like a emotional cliffhanger, I guess. Oh my gosh. Like specifically, how does it tie to Souboutei? Like, why is Souboutei important then? Especially because he keeps on saying Souboutei must be destroyed. Like it was never just, a thing must be destroyed, and then later on it turns out, oh, I guess that was the thing and not Souboutei. But no, it's specifically Souboutei. So why? It does seem like the paintings are portals to another world. Like you can pass through the paintings to get there. It doesn't seem like the alien beings, the invaders, are in Souboutei though. Like we haven't seen anything that's spiky. We've seen the hands, but we haven't seen anything spiky. Like we haven't even seen like that same super black material in Souboutei, as far as I can see, or as far as I can remember. Is it as simple as like? It's also very clear that it seems like these invaders are the ones trying to like take over the president or the prime minister for some purpose. The waterway, I think the waterway just has to be a way for like the invaders to get out of Souboutei. Like nitrogen destroys them, so maybe if they stay underwater actually, because when you're underwater, like apart from like dissolved oxygen, like dissolved nitrogen, it's a lot safer than just being in the air. Nitrogen is all up in the air. It is the most like abundant element in the air. So if they have a waterway, I guess potentially they could just spread across the oceans, and then from there, stretch out their arms and very briefly, take over the world, grab things, drag them into the ocean. That feels like a viable strategy. Like if I were them, I would definitely do that. The other option was that it was the ocean that wanted to get out of Souboutei, but then why would Seiichi not want that to happen? Like that's a thing. I do genuinely think that it's got to be the invaders. Like, there's still a lot more that we could dive into, and this might not even be like the widest scope of Souboutei for all I know. Man, oh man, oh man, there's so much going on though. The art is always fantastic, especially like the fact that we are going more sci-fi with it. I thought that like the ocean in general and like the like the ideal land that was created for everyone. Like it was so well done. There was such a great contrast between this like everyday world and all these tiny little stories from all these people that happened to be on that airplane and the things they wanted, their reaction to this false world. There was such a great variety there. Like I could have easily sat down and watched, read like chapter after chapter after chapter of them in this world just doing stuff. I have no great like theories. It does like now that we know that there is a legitimate biological component to this, that these are alien invaders taking over these bodies. Part of it might just be that, if you keep them around for enough and they stay in Souboutei, like they stay in this nitrogen heavy environment, they might just fall apart. So that's a possibility. If we assume that they won't just fall apart, then I don't think they can be saved. Like it does seem like the entire body is mutated. It does become something else. Like it's not even that these are like the invaders hiding within human bodies. It's that the entire body is transmogrified. And then through some means that we don't fully understand, they've found ways to hold on like, for longer and longer periods of time. Like to the point of it seems like, like several minutes, like at least 7 minutes, I think the prime minister said. There's not a whole lot else I really want to speculate about. Like, there's so much going on. I can't really think of a clear way to survive. Like, there is other genuine supernatural stuff here that is not related to this alien threat, which I really do like. I appreciate any series that can have multiple supernatural things that are not all connected through like one focal point, where they just are like completely separate things. It seems like one of the themes of the series might just be that, Earth is like fundamentally something that the invaders can't handle, which would be a cool theme to like to integrate with these psychics and with super science and whatnot. If all these things are effective against the invaders, yeah, I'm kind of just spinning my wheels now, so I'm gonna end this. Souboutei is absolutely amazing. I will like. I'm probably not going to do weekly releases just because I don't do weekly for anything. Like it's been tough finding time to do stuff, but maybe like bi-weekly or monthly. We'll see. I do want to keep on top of Souboutei because it's so good. It really is. And I really do want more people to read it. Like, if for some reason you're just watching my reactions without reading it, you're insane. Please read the series. I skip lots of pages. I intentionally do that whenever I don't have anything to say. So, like, you do need to like read all of it. And please, 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 if it gets an official English release, please support it. I know some people will buy like raw magazines to support the Japanese release if there isn't an official release. I wouldn't go that far. I did go that far with Mary Grave recently because I really love that series, but like at the very least, if it gets an official English release, buy Souboutei, pick it up, have a good time with it. All right. Well, thank you all so very much for watching. I will eagerly await the next one. Next time we'll see like how like I'm not going to commit to a specific schedule, but if State continues to do like weekly releases, I'll try to go for like bi-weekly, if not monthly. I can't do weekly. Like weekly might be a bit too much along with Shonen Jump, but bi-weekly or monthly, that seems doable. Anyways, thank you all so very much for watching. Bye for now. Nya nya.